Annie! No! This can't be true, I mean... Sure, she was acting a little rambunctious and all that, but they want her to die. Oh yeah, spirit water, forgot. Well... Okay, she's back, but she's dead, I think. Yeah, she's dead. However, we have the spirit water. And thanks to spirit water, we can hopefully bring her back to life. I'm not an expert on what the spirit water actually is, but her body's glowing, so that must mean it's having some effect. Yep, it's bringing her back to life. Awesome. Now, Annie, you see what little Mashti can do for you? Okay. Now I think is a good time to actually explain what Annie's like. She is given the cleric's class, I think. And she has average strength, kind of. It's kind of the cleric that can fight, but not all that well. She gets okay weapons as she progresses through the game, but her attack doesn't undergo a lot of growth. However, she does get abilities, which makes her very awesome later on. She's also probably the one that will stay with you throughout most of the game. So that's pretty nice. She's not as strong as Fan, but she doesn't need to be, since Fan can more than hold his own. Like I said, they should have just let Annie travel with him to begin with. She has some fighting experience, so it has to count for something. But no, we can't do that, because that would be very stupid. I also apologize for the quality in this video. I was using a different setting for it, due to my DVD disc growing up. So that's kind of what I apologize, though. I'll try to fix it in the next video. I also apologize for this video being about an hour. I had trouble actually finding a good stopping point, so I had to go above my 15-minute limit on that. I'm also not gonna abuse the speed with my level ups. You can, and it's actually recommended that you do, but I'm not gonna make you guys suffer through the sheer amount of resets that that's gonna take, so I'm gonna play this game legit. This also means that I'm not abusing any tricks or cheats in this game, and there's quite a few of them. So this is going to be quite challenging, and you're probably going to see me die a lot later on. But it might be funny, so we'll see. But, let's see. I don't really have enough time to really get into any in-depth discussion about what's gonna come in the future of the game, because more plot will happen once we get back to town, and we're almost there. So I can't really say much. But that's okay, since I got a lot more out than I was expecting. That's one bad thing about the beginning of this game, is that In the beginning, there's a lot of cutscenes. And not only is it hard to really talk about a bunch of things because of how limited my time is between cutscenes, but even when you're playing it, there's a lot of stopping time. And I am glad that the whole game isn't like that, because it would get pretty old after a while. I mean, plot progression is important, but you shouldn't overdo it. You're supposed to spread it out, do the different parts of the game, so that people don't get overwhelmed. I can't complain, though. And did he just do 20 damage? Wow. That's a lot. Also, Annie gets a truckload of LP. I'm not kidding, either. Like, towards endgame, she's gonna have, like, double or triple what everyone else has. Jeez. She's pretty durable, I guess. And I'm going here to save my game, just in case something goes wrong. And that was an old file. I've went through this part of the game like 5 times already, so I've had to practically memorize where I'm at in this game. It's kind of hard. But anyway, time for some more plot, so I'm gonna be quiet. Okay then. A lot has happened, so let me try to recap. The introduction of Percy in that last cutscene was a stroke of genius. Not only did we have Annie come back and get ridiculed for very stupid reasons. Sure, she may have been acting pretty spoiled, but can you really blame her? I mean, come on. They were treating her like she was useless. And when you do that, it does kind of make it a little more understandable that she would rebel. I mean, let's face it, if you had parents that pretty much said that you can't go anywhere because you're powerless, how would you react to that? I'd probably react similar to Annie myself. I don't know about anyone else, but I sympathize with her pretty well. And the introduction of Percy pretty much actually was there as a demonstration of Annie's new powers. When Percy was about to die, her powers awakened. Probably because they're connected to her emotions or something like that. The game doesn't make it real clear, but that's my take on it. Also, since Sir Galahad says that it was the combination of the swamp water and the spirit water, I guess. I'm guessing what happened. Oh wait, more plot. Man, this plot sneaks up on you. Wow. That was overkill. Okay, that didn't take long. But I'll get to Samson in a second. Let me talk about Annie, though. Since Annie's powers derived from the swamp and the spirit water, I guess what that means is that her powers actually came to way of a mutation. So wouldn't that make Annie a mutant? Huh, I never really thought about it. But that's pretty interesting. Since her powers aren't really natural, they just came because of the combination of those two elements. And yes, I'm sure someone wants me to talk about this, but Annie technically doesn't have the power to bring anyone back to life, only heal wounds. I think the best reason for this... Oh yeah, and look how much that sells for. Freaking ridiculous, right? Anyway. I guess that would make Annie technically a mutant of sorts, even though she still has a human appearance. Though, I guess that's not that confusing. I mean, even in X-Men, some of the mutants did have human appearances, so it shouldn't be all that strange. But hey, that just makes Annie even more awesome. And now let's talk about Percy a little bit. Percy is a knight of the Marion army, and he was specifically sent to get Sir Galahad back to fight against the Vandor Empire. But seeing how Sir Galahad is like 60 to 70 years old in this game, I don't think he would have been all that useful as a soldier. So Percy had to recruit you and Annie instead, apparently. And now we fight some mini-boss creatures, but they're really not all that tough. Though they do have an attack that'll put you to sleep, so come prepared. Percy is an interesting character. He's loyal, he's kind, and once he gets to a high enough level, he packs a punch with his sword and shield. Stat-wise, he's similar to Finn, but he tends to get more stats than Finn does, but a lot less MP. So he does get a lot better spell selection, that's for sure. I guess he's kind of like a mage knight, where he has both a strong magic and strong attack, but he doesn't have enough MP to be a strong mage. So that's nice to know. I'll talk to Percy more later. Let's talk about Samson. He's a very overpowered hero of the Marion army, and as you've seen, is powerful enough to even strike down expert soldiers in a single hit. Yeah, he's based off of Samson from the Bible, where he was powerful enough to take down an entire army by himself. Same thing for this guy. He's more than capable. Aw, you sucker. Samson is more than capable of taking down a bunch of soldiers. However, his hands are kind of tied right now, since they have the Prince of Marion captured, so he can't exactly go charging in, otherwise they'll kill him. So he's trying to sneak into the castle to rescue him himself. And so we're following Samson to see if we can get his help with our endeavor. And that's what I'm doing right now. Aside from that, I think I've covered basically everything. Oh, will you stop that? For Pete's sake. Ugh. Sleep. Annoying. Very much so. Okay, at least Ben is awake now. I do kind of like how they actually make the sleep sound during battle. That's pretty creative. There are a lot of creative things in this game. I also really like the body language in this game. Sometimes they'll nod, sometimes they'll shake their body. Basically when something bad is happening. And I don't know, I just really like that. It really shows that the creative team was thinking outside the box. And I gotta give them credit for that. And I believe Annie just learned Cure Level 1, which will cure poison. We haven't seen poison yet, but it is annoying later on. A giant rock! Huh, even the power of the giant rock could not stand in our way. Awesome. And now for a little bit more plot. Okay. Now that's over with. I'll examine this and to get the helium ring. Okay, I need to talk about this. Back when Beyond the Beyond was first being made, the creative team for this had a sense of humor, I'll say that. Since there are lots of segments in this game that are basically in this game just for comic relief. The helium ring is one of those things. It doesn't have any real practical use, but if you equip it, then a very funny sound will be made when you do a critical hit. And there's Prince Edward, but we can't rescue him just yet. Well, keep your robe on, we'll get to you in a second. One, two, three, 4 guards, really? Well, where'd the 5th one go? That was there before. And we're only fighting 3. Oh well. I forgot to move Semph to the front row, but as you've seen, he doesn't need to worry about it, since he's more than capable of one-shotting these losers. Not that they're all that hard, since even the 3 of us can take 1 guard out pretty easily. I do assure you, though, later in the game, they're a little more trickier than these guys are. Though I wish I could fight more. They have lots of experience and gold. And we get the key. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, time to rescue the brands. I also like how they give descriptions when there's not an item in something. They actually give you a reason why there's not an item in this thing. And now to rescue the prince, who's more than happy enough to see us. It's typical to go to neighboring kingdoms in the Camelot series of games, like in Shining Force, so I kinda saw this coming. Well, we rescued the prince, and now we're off to go to Zelagoon and get help from them. Thanks, can't only get better from here, right? Huh. Edward's a mage, I'll talk more about him later. But wait. Are we being followed? Yep. apparently removes his curses have the power to cut Samson's hair, because he's cursed now and back at level 1. I'll get into that in a second, because we have a little bit more plot to get through. Okay, that should be enough plot for now. Let's talk about Samson's curse. This does several things. One, it brings Samson down to level 1, which is nothing short of annoying. But we can remedy that later. A more pressing concern, however, is that he is technically cursed. Not only during the plot, but in gameplay as well. And his curse also has plot convenience powers, so a priest cannot get rid of it. So we're going to need someone else's help for that. But from a story perspective, this makes a lot of sense. They want to give you a reason that you have to be in fear of being hunted by the Vandor Empire. If you had someone as strong as Samson traveling around with you, then you would have nothing to fear. Nothing can get in your way. But now that Samson's strength is gone, you feel a little more weary of the fact that you're essentially wanted. So this makes a whole lot of sense. What this hurts, however, is that Samson is cursed, and you can't really do anything about that. So, in battle, several bad things can happen. One, I believe the curse has made him extremely slow. Second of all, when you attack, you might take a small amount of damage, depending on how much you do. Or, in some cases, you are paralyzed from the curse and can't act that turn. I'd be lying if I said that this wasn't an inconvenience, but it's not something that will make or break the game. It's just one of those things that will annoy you sometimes. But you can go on fine without having to worry about that. Anyway, Edward is the Prince of Marion and is a very smart person. He's a mage and learns several attack spells as he progresses through the game. He learns a couple of buff spells as well. So he's pretty nice to have around. I'm gonna level up a little bit before I progress though. Or at least, I think that's the plan. Because 2 characters are level 1, Samson and Edward. So it might help to be a little stronger so we can kind of protect them while they're still weak. Though I assure you, it won't take long before they start becoming really good. Trust me on this. In other news, people have probably been wondering what's happening with Lunar. Lunar is kind of on the back burner while I get Beyond the Beyond ready. However, I'm not going to stop uploading it. It's just going to be a little slower than usual. A lot of my time is being spent on actually writing my fanfiction and getting these Beyond the Beyond videos ready. I have all my Lunar stuff already prepared though, so if I have some time, I'll upload those. If anything, just to hold people over until these are prepared. By the way, don't buy anything for Percy. I'll explain why in a second. To be honest, he really doesn't need it anyway. You need to concentrate more on Finn's equipment. Since he doesn't get as high stats as Percy, and he's a lot more dependent on his normal stats anyway. You can actually go into the castle at this point, and I honestly would recommend doing so, since there are some items to find there, as well as a neat little Easter egg, which I've already explained that the creative team had a bit of a sense of humor when they made this game, and it shows pretty well. I don't remember if I go to the castle in this recording. I know I did in a few of them, but so many of these recordings actually failed that I don't know if I bothered. We'll have to find out. I know I don't make it far past the church though, so I'm pretty sure that I actually go to the castle. Otherwise, I don't see how I could spend 20 minutes on this. Oh yeah, I buy lots of herbs. You probably wouldn't know to have to have all these herbs, but I assure you, you do. Because after Marion, you don't get an item shop for a while, so it's best to click on herbs now. And my throat is a little bit itchy. Great. And someone on Skype wants to talk to me, but they're gonna have to wait. Because of the way I'm recording now, I have to do the voice part of it all in one shot. So they'll have to wait a little while. They're used to that though, so it's not that big of a problem. I'm trying to think on what else I need to really talk about. Considering I'm doing most of this non-scripted, actually, this time around it's all non-scripted, I'm doing pretty good though. I haven't had a lot of quiet moments in this video. Outside of plot anyway. I will say though that regarding my fanfiction, I know a lot of people have posted concerns, not so much complaints, but concerns for some of my fanfiction. But I assure you that if I'm doing something that may come off as a bit weird, I have a good reason for it. I'm not going to talk about what those things are yet, until I have more progress on the fanfiction, but I will say, though, that I consider myself to be more of a realist when I write than I'm not exactly sure what they call them, but they're the type of people that tend to sugarcoat a lot of different personality quirks. I'm not a writer that likes to write like that. I tend to be a lot more serious and unearthed about it. This is something that when I bring it up, usually have people kind of giving me that cross-eyed look. Like, what do you mean when you say that? Well, I don't mean anything bad when I say that. I just mean that I hate it when everything in a story is essentially, it's like they write and they're afraid of what people will say about it. Like, they're so afraid of what people will think of it that they want to make sure that people will like it. And as such, they will try to prevent themselves from writing anything that may come off as being pretentious or contrived. And I can understand that to an extent, but I'm of the opinion that people sugarcoat things a little too much. Like, very seldom do I see in a story where people struggle a lot, or we have a villain that's very cruel, very twisted, very maniacal. Oftentimes villains are kind of the type that are often misunderstood, or the type that they're wrong, but it's usually as a result of what happens in their life or something. I hate these types of villains a lot. A villain to me is not someone that you feel sorry for or that you can relate to. No, in my opinion, a villain is someone that you're not supposed to like. I'm not saying you have to design your villain with a mere extent of having your fans hate him, although that's a good start, in my opinion. No, but I'm getting tired of villains that are essentially either anti-heroes or just kind of anarchists, where they're opposed to the main hero, but they're not exactly evil. I really hate the anarchist trope of villains. I've seen so many of them, and very few of them are very understandable. I think the biggest example of these, especially one that's popular, is probably Sephiroth. I hate Sephiroth so much. Okay. There have been people countless times. Oh shoot, we're getting to more plot, aren't we? Huh. Yep, we are. Okay, I'm going to pause on that thought for a second, but I'll be returning on it, I assure you. Because this is something I've been wanting to rant about for a while. Oh boy, we have to do one of these puzzles. Yeah, I suck at these types of puzzles, just saying. I don't remember how well my attempt was in this video, but I know in one of the videos I did this like almost instantly correct. And I couldn't believe that. I wanted that recording to work, because that was just incredible. But I don't think I was able to keep that one, so that kind of disappointed me a little bit. But anyway, Sephiroth. Oh boy, I could whine and rant about this for hours. How can people... It's not so much people liking this guy, but oh my god. Like, seriously? Sephiroth is probably one of the most lamest villains, personality-wise, ever. And he's one of the standard archetype for villains where they try to create one that has a past that makes him seem sympathetic. He has a sympathetic backstory, there we go. And I hate it when villains are given sympathetic backstories. Heroes, fine. But giving a villain a sympathetic backstory is pretty much like saying, oh yeah, he's supposed to be evil and mean-spirited and twisted, but we still want you to feel sorry for him. And I'm just like, why? If he's supposed to be so evil and mean-spirited and cruel, why are we supposed to feel sorry for this guy? Shouldn't we hate him? I don't know. This is always something I've never really understood with writers and whatnot. Sorry about that, my screensaver came up. Huh, weird. And I think I've just solved the puzzle. Wait, no, not yet. I know I'm close, though. Thankfully, this is only 3x3 and not 4x4, otherwise this would take forever. 4x4 ones are ones I hate so much. There are worse ones too, like 5x5 and 6x6, but I hate doing these at all. Essentially. And it's solved. By the way, I love that fanfare that just played. Freaking awesome. Also, there's the extra fight that you can get into if you try to leave the puzzle. It's basically Reimu and two Orc Lords that have tracked you down and will kill you. Yeah, you're at a level now to where you just can't fight Reimu's forces. The reason I actually left the fight out is because I forgot to actually initiate it, and Reimu's abilities are kind of spoilerish anyway, so I didn't want to show that off. But I will show it off in a video later. Blizzard card. That's a freaking awesome item, and I will explain that later. However, that was the most touching scene I think I've ever seen. I loved that scene so much. It not only shows Percy's admiration for his sister, and showing that he would do anything for her, including get himself killed, but it also shows so well how much Annie was hurt by this. In that minute-long segment of nothing but body language, you could see just how much she was being affected by this and how she almost couldn't continue on. This is why I love this game so much. It really shows just how much work and effort they put into the storyline. Even little small parts like this give such an impact that it just blows me away. From a storyline perspective, Percy giving up his life was a great idea. And It's just incredible. I don't know how to bring it up in words, but just take it from me when I say that there is a reason why I love this game so much, and that's one of them. There are other reasons too, but I'll get into those at a later date. I'll be moving Samson up to the front row so that his attacks do a little more damage. Since the back row in this applies very similar to Final Fantasy IV's back row, if you've ever played that. When you're in the back row, you do half damage from your attacks, but you also deal half damage from the enemies, which is pretty nice. Also, it's worth noting that Samson doesn't get very much HP, or VP in this case, so that's kind of nice. Source of agility. That's most likely going to my mage, Edward, but I'll probably wait on using it, since I'm pretty sure there's someone later on that'll benefit just as much from it, and I want to see who'll need it more. But with Percy gone, it also means that we're down one character, so this is made even harder. But it's nothing we can't live without, and seeing Percy sacrifice his life like that, it really shows just what's at stake here. If we don't get Zelagoon's help, then it's hopeless. Percy gave up his life so that we could get to Zelagoon, and honestly, I don't think the player had much reason for wanting to go on this journey. Sure, Marion's in trouble, but what does that mean to the player? It's just another kingdom to us. But seeing Reimu curse Samson and decimate him, and in addition to that, she's also responsible for killing off Percy, a party member that's been traveling with us. So he's like a comrade in arms. So now, the player is given a reason by killing Percy and cursing Samson. It's like they've given the player motivation for wanting to see this journey through. And I love it when the creative team actually thinks up scenarios like this. They don't give us reasons like, oh, you have to save the world because we say so. No. They have actually wrote into the plot specific reason why the player should care about this kingdom. Why the player should want Bandor to be taken down. They have given us an incentive to want to continue this adventure. And that is awesome. Very few games actually do this. The only other series I think that have had this kind of impact on me is the Dot Hack series, if you've ever played that. If not, then shame on you. Go play it right now. It is a very awesome game series. Unfortunately. That sounds very foreboding. Huh. Oh well, best not to worry about that for now. We're not even at Zelagoon yet. No, not quite yet. We have a couple of obstacles to get past first. But I don't have time to do that in this video. So I'm going to close this out with going to the end, saving, and fighting a few battles. But yes, if you haven't played the Dot Hack series, then I recommend you do so. because it is an awesome video game series. There's technically a bunch of different games, but I think the only two series that ever were very successful were the original 4 Dot Hack games for PS2 and the Dot Hack GU series for PS2. I'm not going to go into the debate which series is better, because it's strictly opinionated. But if you're going to start anywhere, you're probably best to start off with the original 4 games. Because while GU has its ups and downs, it's really not good to start on, since it does borrow a lot of elements from the original 4 games, and these elements you're probably not going to understand if you haven't at least played the first volume of the original Dot Hack. Because a lot of these things will go right past your head. But anyway, we've just started the game, and already they've given us a very strong reason for wanting to succeed at this quest. I love it. I know I'm getting a little repetitious with this, but I am sorry. This part of the game had such an impact on me when I first played it. There are other games that have had a similar impact on me, but I think this was the first turn-based game to actually do this. Most turn-based RPGs have been more about just going on a vast adventure than being about a serious storyline. But this game, oh, this game. I think the only RPG I had played other than this at the time was Dragon Warrior 1, Final Fantasy 1, and maybe Dragon Warrior 2, I think. I hadn't played many RPGs though, so when this game came around, it was a huge step forward for me. I didn't know all the different RPGs that were out at the time, but man, this game opened me up to a bunch of gems that I was just missing out on. I think that's one reason why I liked it so much. It was a real eye-opener for me, so I have to give it credit for that. It's a darn shame it wasn't more popular, because this game really deserved more than it got. I'll get more into that after I actually complete the game, but man. Only a couple minutes left, okay. In closing, I'm just gonna basically repeat what I basically just said. If you haven't played Dot Hack, check that out. The introduction of Percy and Percy's final departure were both handled really well. Despite him not being in your party for very long, he had a real impact on the team. Seeing that scene in this game honestly made me really want to see what came in the future. Also, if you don't really have this game, I would recommend tracking it down. It's pretty old, so I'm sure you can find it pretty cheap. Especially considering how non-popular it is. It's probably one of those games that you could probably find on Amazon or eBay for like $10, if that. It's not one of those that ever was popular enough to where they could price gouge it. Because really no one would buy it, really, even if they did. So you could find it pretty cheap, so it's worth a buy, I'll bet. Even if you don't like it, you really don't lose all that much, considering how little bit you'd actually have to spend on it. I would think the shipping would probably cost as much as the game. So, there you go. Yeah, this game is very underrated, which really saddens me, because I wanted it to be better. But that's all I have time for now. So, have fun everyone, I will see you later.